We are at a critical point in the stock market, and if you're not prepared, this is where money can be lost. I'm a professional engineer and I've been trading and investing in the stock market for 4+ years. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the key economic events to pay attention to and the stocks that I am watching so that you can be ready for what the market is about to do next. This coming week, June 17th, mark your calendars. That's the day you need to pay attention to. Why? Because President Trump is going to be speaking at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, which is when the market opens. It's going to probably move the markets. It should be red folder news in my opinion because he has some impact. His words matter. And at 2 o'clock, we have the FOMC meeting and interest rate decision. Are they going to hold interest rates? Are they going to increase it? And at 2:30 Eastern Time, the Fed chair, the new one, Walsh, is going to be speaking. He's going to be answering questions. And it's his first one, so the market's going to pay attention to understand what to expect from him. Now let's move on to the charts and see what I am watching. And as always, I'm going to be updating it on a daily basis in my free community. Always, we're going to start off with SPY. Last week, we found support at 722.59 and we're able to have a bounce and close above 741 level. Now, where do we go from here? We have a major catalyst in the middle of the week on Wednesday, President Trump speaking, and we have the new Fed chair and FOMC happening on Wednesday as well. If for some reason we fail 735 again, there's room back down lower into last week's low. And if last week's low fails, 718 is possible. If we are able to get above 746.90, there's room to 750.74 and even 752.84. Now there's a gap to be filled on SPY above at 757.06, but we would see what happens on a daily basis, and I'll be updating people in my free community on what I'm watching on a daily basis and the key levels to pay attention to. QQQ, similar to SPY, we still have some resistance before buyers can fully take control of this chart. If QQQ is able to get above, realistically, this 725.65 level right here, there's room to 727.46 and even 731.69. Now you can see that QQQ has a gap here to be filled. This is a big gap. We would need news, we need a strong catalyst to be able to push price, to be able to reach that level and fill that gap without major resistance and fight from the sellers. Now, if 711 fails on QQQ, there's room down lower to 697 and even last week's lows. We'll see what happens. As always, I would update people in my free community. Now, SpaceX IPO'd last week, and so people are probably wondering, okay, how do we trade SpaceX? Because we don't have a lot of data, we just have 1 day worth of data. What I will give you now is the high and the low from the day. If SpaceX is able to get above Friday's high, the first day high, it will most likely continue to make new highs and move into 180, 185, and so on. If for some reason 135 fails, this name has more to sell and we don't know where it would find support. That's why they recommend people not to buy the IPO on the first day. Wait for price to settle and for it to find a base. Then you can then look to start buying the stock. But again, this is not financial advice. This is just education and I'm just sharing what I'm seeing. If his price stays in between this range this week, then don't touch it. Now looking at Tesla on Friday ate the buyers and the sellers money and eventually made a move to close pretty strong on Friday. Now coming into this week, you can see that Tesla is still below its 200-day moving average until it realistically reclaims and closes above this 415.69. There's still a chance sellers can continue to push price lower, similar to what it did right here. Now, if Tesla on Monday happens to gap up, watch this 415.69 resistance levels. The price able to get above it, and we get above 418.50. There is room to 424.68. Now, that's what I have for Tesla. If Tesla comes back in between this 406 and 386 range, it's going to be difficult to trade. It's going to be choppy. It will just be a battle between sellers and buyers, and you don't want to be caught in that. Now, Next on the list is NVIDIA. Oof. NVIDIA has not had the best of luck. Last week I said to watch to see if 211 failed, and if 211 failed, we would continue lower, even down into this 200s. Now buyers stepped up and defended this 199 level. What I want to see on this name is to continue to see 199 get defended and for buyers to start to bid this name higher. NVIDIA has a gap to fill at 208.20. If it fills that gap, holds the level, there is room to this resistance level here at 211.40 and 212 area. If price is able to reclaim 212, now we are talking. There could be a strong move in NVIDIA up to fill this gap at 218.72. That's what I'm watching on this name. So realistically, the main move to the upside will most likely come once 212 breaks and holds. There will be most likely a strong move in that direction. Let's see what happens on this name. Now, next name I want to talk about is Apple. Apple has been selling. Once it broke 300, I believe it was news that pushed this name lower and very aggressive, because 2 weeks ago when the market was selling, it looked like it was holding strong, but it broke support levels and sold. But I want us to just zoom out and look nicely on the daily time frame. What Apple is currently doing is a nice break and retest. You see this high from here? We broke, and now we are retesting this area again. If Apple is able to hold 285.78, if it comes down and is able to hold 285.78, and buyers start to step up there, there's a sign of buyers stepping up. There's a chance that we could then see a reversal on this name. And then when Apple then reclaims 297, there is a strong move into 300 and above. So that's what I'm watching on Apple, seeing if buyers are able to step in at 285.78. AMD is another name I like. Last week I told you that AMD looked pretty strong. I didn't think that it was going to continue to sell aggressively towards the downside, because it had a nice gap and it looked like it was just doing a nice break and retest. AMD filled some gaps that it had previously, and then now it found buyers, and on Friday it made a strong move. But are we in the clear? Or is this going to be a lower high and we continue to sell lower? Let's see what the levels hold here. AMD has a gap to fill at 522.97 to be exact. The high from Friday was 521.79. Now I'm not going to just recommend trading the previous day's high break and retest if it happens, because of this potential resistance that we have right here on AMD, because it could just fill that gap and head lower. If AMD is able to fill the gap from at 522.97, there's room to 532.91. If it holds, there's room to fill the gap at 542.36. So this is a name that you want to just watch carefully, because it likes to fill its gaps, yes, but the gaps also act as resistance or support. So on AMD, this 523, I think I had it wrong, 523.19 is the gap level that needs to be filled on AMD. And once it gets filled, if it's able to hold that level, use it as support, there's a chance we can go to 530s, 532, and continue higher, depending on what the overall market is doing. AMD also created a gap from Thursday at 488.21. Now, if AMD fills Friday's low, which is 494.05, there's a chance it would come down, fill this gap, and then we'll see what happens from there. As always, I'll be updating on a daily basis. The last name I really like is INTC. INTC is creating what we call a nice flag on the higher time frames, and if it's able to get above some key levels that I'm going to show you right now, I believe INTC would probably create new all-time highs. Now, if INTC is able to get above Friday's high area and this resistance at 127.82, there is room to fill the gap at 129.41. If this gap level holds 129.41, there is clear room to 130 and even all-time highs. I will be watching this name seriously on Monday to see what happens, how it develops, and potentially look to take a swing. If it happens that INTC fails Friday's low, my bad, happens to fail Friday's lows, there's a chance that INTC would come back down and fill the gap at 107 right here. So Friday's lows is right here. If INTC fails this low for some reason, then it would come back to 110s, and then if 110 fails, there's a chance it comes down to 107 again. And at this point, the thesis would most likely not follow through, where we would see all-time highs in the coming 1, 2, 3 weeks. Let's see. 107. If 107 fails, then it's back to 100 level. INTC is a strong name. Let's see how it ends up shaping up. The close on Friday wasn't the greatest, but let's see what happens at the end of the week. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again next week for a brand new episode of the series. Thanks for watching.